This episode of FineScale Modeler's New Product Rundown features Ryefield's T-34 122, Dora Wings Bellanca, Zvezda's 737-8 MAX, Damaged from FSM, and Polar Light's Defiant.
New Product Rundown brought to you by HobbyZone USA, your source for hobby storage solutions, hard-to-find hobby tools, and aftermarket modeling needs. And by CultTVMan's Hobby Shop, the place to go to for science fiction and fantasy kits, details, masks, decals, and more.
Welcome to New Product Rundown, FineScale Modeler's twice-monthly video show where we give you a peek inside some of the latest modeling products. I'm Aaron Skinner.
I'm Elizabeth Nash. Let's get started with Ryefield's 1/35 scale T-34 122.
Yeah, this Egyptian vehicle mounted a Soviet D-30 120mm howitzer on a T-34 hull.
To mount the gun, the vehicles are fitted with a new turret. This oddity makes them a favorite among modelers, and several conversion sets have been available over the decades.
Yeah, but there's only been one full injection plastic kit. That was from Maquette, and let's face it, that had some challenges.
Ryefield earned its stripes with detailed Panthers, Abrams, and Tigers, oh my, with full interiors.
Yeah, this kit packs in the detail, but it eschews all that interior stuff.
The hull tub has crisply molded suspension attachments, fine panel lines, and well-executed weld seams.
The Christie suspension has spring housings with well-molded springs and separate road wheel arms.
3 styles of road wheels are provided. Solid metal dish hubs with good bolt detail and separate tires. Note that the smooth tires have sidewall labeling. There are also the classic post-war Starfish wheels, like those used on T-55s, with separate tires. And 4 T-34 85 type spoked wheels. The instructions show the option of building the vehicle with 10 Starfish wheels or a combination of spoked and solid wheels, but all of the color diagrams show the former. Check your references.
Idlers and drivers, and terrific Lincoln length tracks free of ejector pin marks finish the running gear. The upper run has molded sag.
The upper hull with full glasses has fine panel lines and weld seams and beautifully thin fenders. Rounding out the hull parts are the lower and upper rear panels, optional engine intake covers with solid molded mesh and open framing for photo-etched screen, and louvers underneath, separate drivers and engine hatches, engine deck covers, and optional front fenders.
Slide molded fuel tanks and smoke generators need only one end cap each to finish.
The unique turret is mostly molded in one piece with weld seams, hinges, and cast texture on the cheeks, and underneath where some of the original T-34 85 turret still seems visible.
Most of the main gun is here, including a 2-part barrel with separate slide molded muzzle brake, recuperator housing, support, breech, and controls.
To fill the gaps between the gun and the mantlet, the kit provides a vinyl dust cover.
In addition to the engine screen, Photo Etch Brass supplies a side platform, fuel tank straps and handles, and the metal lining for the dust cover. Copper wire is given for the tow cable.
No decals are included, but the kit shows 3 marking options for Egyptian tanks.
This appears to be a pretty straightforward kit of an interesting T-34 variant, and it should appeal to both fans of Soviet armor and those people who like building subjects from the Middle East wars.
Dora Wings continues to release interesting kits of subjects that have rarely been kitted before in injection molded plastic.
The latest is a 1/72nd scale Bellanca CH-300 Pacemaker, a 1930s-era 6-seat airplane that was noted for its long-distance capabilities.
That characteristic saw pacemakers used for several distant flight attempts, and those aircraft are the subject of this particular release.
The fuselage comprises 3 parts with subtle stressed fabric texture on the sides and top. The cabin windows are skinned over on this version.
Interior detail includes a floor and back wall, 3-part seat, control sticks, and instrument panel with decal dials, and a forward bulkhead.
The engine, with detailed exhaust collector, single-part cowl ring, and tiny separate exhaust, mounts on the airframe with a 4-part louvered nose.
The wings show more of the subtle stress fabric over ribs and outlines for fuel tanks.
All of the control surfaces are separate, including the ailerons, rudder, and elevators. Those surfaces and the large wing struts have fabric texture as well.
3 landing gear options are given, including 2-part plastic spats, spatless with exposed springs, and all resin with sealed legs. The variation numbers correspond to the marking options.
Crystal clear parts supply the windshield and cockpit side windows. Pre-cut masks should make painting them easy.
A small photo etched fret provides rudder pedals, control horns and lines, and braces for the struts.
3 marking options are covered by the decals for 2 of the record attempt aircraft, 1 at 2 different times.
A very nice release for fans of civil aircraft from between the wars.
Speaking of civil subjects, let's take a quick look at Zvezda's latest airliner, a 1:144 scale Boeing 737-8 MAX.
This aircraft is externally similar to the previous iteration of the 737 family, the next generation airliners.
Because of that commonality, much of the kit remains the same as Zvezda's 737-800 released in 2017, including the fuselage with fine panel lines and door outlines.
The wings, also marked by fine panel lines, carry over from the previous kit too.
As do the flap actuator fairings and the landing gear. The nose strut on the Max is 8 inches longer than the 800. That difference isn't reflected in the parts, but at 1:144 scale, the leg would be 0.05 inches longer. It would be easy to shim the strut if you wish.
The most visible difference is the addition of larger CFM LEAP engines with new cowls, with one-piece intake lips, separated intake sleeves, serrated trailing edges, two-part hot sections, fans, and cones.
Also new are two-part winglets and a longer reshaped tail cone. Although the fuselage still has the old-style NACA APU duct, it would be easy to fill and replace it with the Max's door-type intake. New horizontal stabilizers fit the new tail, and there are a couple of new antennas for the top of the fuselage.
The windscreen, which incorporates part of the forward fuselage as well as the cabin windows, are provided on a clear sprue.
The decals provide stencils and markings for one of the aircraft in Boeing house colors. The metallics look especially good, but the 737 titles on the tail are a tad out of register. The good news is several aftermarket decals are available for the Max from Draw Decals and 8A decks.
This is another great-looking airliner from Zvezda.
Here's something we're really excited to share with you guys. It's the first issue of Damaged, published by FineScale Modeler magazine.
Some of you may have seen Damaged before. It's published by Spanish paint and finishing supply maker Abteilung 502, a division of AK Interactive.
We've partnered with them to bring Damaged, Weathered and Worn Models magazine to a wider North American audience.
As the title suggests, the focus is on weathering and finishing with models by some of Europe's top builders.
But what excites us most is the variety of subjects covered.
Sure, there are some familiar subjects, like aircraft, but those builds stand with projects like a scratch-built steampunk locomotive, a beautifully weathered snowspeeder from The Empire Strikes Back, and a really neat diorama of photographers at an amusement park abandoned after the Chernobyl disaster.
Each build is shown in stunning photography, and there are plenty of hints, tips, and ideas to take with you for your next project.
Damage complements FineScale Modeler with subjects you're unlikely to see in the pages of FSM, but in the detail you've come to expect from it.
And this is just the start. We've got 3 more issues in the works right now, and the future looks bright.
Look for Damage on newsstands, in hobby and bookstores, and online at kalmbachhobbystore.com.
Finally, here's the latest Star Trek kit from Polar Lights, a 1/1000th scale USS Defiant.
This is the purpose-built warship that played a critical role in the Dominion War in the later seasons of Deep Space Nine.
Like the bird of prey we looked at in the previous episode, the Defiant has been kitted before by AMT in box scale. That actually comes out to be about 1/420th scale.
This release brings the tough little ship into line with many other Trek kits from Polar Lights.
Like many of the kits in that range, the Defiant is designed to assemble without glue. The main part of the ship comes in upper and lower halves with fine panel lines and well-molded mechanical details.
The warp nacelles come in halves as well, with similar surface detail.
The nose is a separate section that assembles from 2 pieces.
Rounding out the blue-gray plastic parts are the front plates for the nacelles, a plug to fill in the stand hole if it isn't used, and other greeblies.
The clear parts supply Bussard collectors, the navigation deflector, the warp engines, and more.
A large decal sheet covers many of the panels, but there are still a few you'll need to paint.
This is another sweet-looking kit for us Trek fans.
Look for a review of it and the T-34 in upcoming issues of FineScale Modeler magazine.
And you can find more new products in the stunning December issue right there, on sale now.
Thanks for visiting FineScale.com. I close my eyes.
Only for a moment, and the moment's gone. The latest is a 1/72nd scale Bellanca CH300 Pacemaker, a 1930s era 6-seat airplane. Noted for its long-distance capabilities.
Sucking on hot air balloons. Yeah, it would be conversational. That characteristics on pacemakers used for several distant flight attempts.
And for keeping your heart beating straight.